Hello, and welcome to my first live stream in a very, very long time. Hello to the chat. Hio's World, how you doing? I've kind of recently moved a whole bunch of stuff around in my house, and I have this desk that I hadn't. Well, this is actually the table that my 3D printer used to be on. 3D printer's somewhere else now, but this is right in front of my computer, right there. And so I thought, if I've got my painting in front of my computer, I might try doing a little bit of that live streaming. And you can all watch along and see just how much effort I go into keeping stuff in focus with my camera. Oh. And that's as good as it gets. Yeah, well, I have some Russians. In fact, I have 45mm anti-tank gun that's 3D printed, and I'm just painting up the crew. So, got the loader, ammunition ready to go, and the gunner right here on my painting handle. So I'm going to get started. Yeah, it's a nice relaxing painting session. Let's start by giving this paint a shake, because that is not the consistency paint should be. That's much better, much better. I have some strings of polystyrene cement on this model. Let's see if I can just... Yep, that was easy. Do let me know how the sound is, if music and microphone are well balanced. Cool, thank you. I've not got particularly much to say, which is surprising, you know, from me. If there's any subjects of discussion that you can think of, happy to throw my weight around with opinions. Half in the idea that this is less in focus than it normally is. I am using a I think it's a Droid Cam app to use my phone connected to the PC, but it's not great. The camera isn't great to begin with, but this just seems like it's even worse. Sort of just about see what's going on. Let's mix it up and go for some ochre, because that's totally different from... Oh, look at that! Oh. And this is why we shake paint. My accent and my opinions. Marvellous. My opinions have been tempered by experience, and my accent is... kind of middle of the United Kingdom, kind of East Anglia, South England. Prefer to be called the Midlands. Oh, that's a lot darker than I was expecting. That's because I've still got all of this dark brown on my brush. But that's okay. I can get a free bit of wet blending out of that. Nearly a little highlight there. I assume this is a water bottle. It's kind of bottle-like. Yeah. Come on. Refocus. Yeah, that's... looks like a water bottle to me. Wow, the ghosting in that image. That's impressive. Yeah, the only way you're ever going to get me to put a water bottle on a model is if you sculpt the water bottle into the model to begin with. And that's the case here. Let's make sure the brush doesn't dry out, because that would be difficult. Bit thin, but we can go for a glaze over the top. Can I just add to that a little bit of wet blend? And we're out of focus again. Amazing. Holo's World. My 2-year-old makes it hard to get a lot of painting time, so we're living vicariously through you. More than welcome. I've got a bit of green on the wet palette, so I might just grab that, mix that into my ochre here, and we'll see what colour that gives us. Oh, that's a very interesting brown. It's all still brown, but this entire army, my Soviet Union army, is pretty much all going to be brown. Tans, browns, a little bit of green, but it's going to be a browny green. See, I used to just paint brown as brown and leave it at that, which is, I mean, that's fair for a fairly new painter, but given that I've been doing this for longer than I can remember, no idea how long you just kind of pick up ideas and just go off and do stuff and find other things interesting and give them a go. And so things like mixing green into brown, or just mixing any colour into brown just to make it not the same brown as everything else. Somehow, even though the camera's up, I'm still getting notifications through on the phone, which is annoying. I would say that the vibration would jostle the view of the camera, but it's not in focus to begin with. I'm doing a slightly different colour to the skin than I did for the others. It's actually kind of a somewhat realistic for the armies of the Soviet Union during World War II, because it's not just Russians, there's several. I mean, first of all, Russia itself is huge and has many skin tones. There's also other countries kind of like the British Empire at the time. British soldiers, or armies of the British Empire, can be from anywhere in the world. So having different skin tones makes a lot of sense. That is hair. It is, he's got a little bit of hair sticking out from under that ED-SKaR, so let's get a nice bit of brown in there. Let's get the... I'm actually thinking about leaving the ED-SKaR, the main colour of the ED-SKaR, in the primer colour, just letting the wash pick out the details. Wash on furs, sculpted fur, is usually pretty good just by itself. Do want to break up some of the colours on the uniform. See about some more of that green. A lot more brown this time, that's alright. Go for a fairly dark colour on the boots to break up the tones. I painted a few of the models with black boots, so I might kind of continue that theme. Cool. See you in a bit. Thanks for popping past. Some of that black. That is not black. There we go. That's black. Considering like a wall-mounted paint rack just on the side here, might be a little unnecessary. Bit overkill. But then it might be cool. Isn't being cool more important? Hello. That's my standard webcam, and this is my the old phone, the purple one. I need to get the other camera, the one you got for me, with Droid Cam. I wonder if I can run 2 Droid Cams at the same time and have 3 camera views. Might be unnecessary. So, kind of on the comparison between the two, neither of them really give me the focus I want, but the other one I can get to, I can like lock the focus and I can move into where the focus is. Whereas with this one, like the focus is currently locked, but there's no place along, like there is about the best, that's the focal point, and that's still not quite in focus. But this one has the better color balance. It's a little bright. It's a little pale. The other one has more saturation in the colors, which I guess is better if I had any idea how to deal with color balance. I mean, I know where the buttons are. I just am not experienced at getting it to look good. Yeah, I think that's all the colours I need for this. So I'm going to hit this with brown wash all over, and then once that's dry, I will pick out the details. I can move on to a different one in the meantime. brown wash does just make everything better. Yeah, there's a reason why it's an extremely popular product. But the thing is, it's just so easy to make. There's no reason to buy it. I was talking with someone recently, and they said that they're too lazy to make their own, and they'd rather just buy it. And I responded with, well, I'm lazier than you are, because I'm so lazy that I'm not even going to go out and buy it, or even if I have it, I'm not going to reach over the table to get it. I'm just going to use what's on the wet palette, thin it down, and hey presto, instant wash. Because it really is that easy. I think we've done washes, like making your own washes on Back to the Brush. Like we've talked about it on main episodes. We recorded a mini episode for contrast paints, but a lot of the camera work was like, it wasn't really watchable. Not that any of this is watchable. That's that one. So this is the gunner for my 45mm anti-tank gun for bolt action. And once I take him off of his base, he's going to fit in, kind of in here at the controls. I'll also have in this handy circular slot at the back a second Kruin, and this one is a loader. So he's got a handful of 45 armor piercing ammunition. There's a little. Hello, Foxy Mets. We are graced by the presence of Chief Researcher for the Auto Redactors. None of these cameras are new. That is the same old webcam that I've been using for ages, and this is the same camera that I've been using on my channel for most of the last few years. I've just kind of reversed them compared to what I usually do when I'm live streaming, because this is the thing that people are more interested in looking at. So the bad camera's on my face, and the slightly less bad but still bad camera is on the model. Never going to get that to focus. Let's get a spot more green. Oops. I went all the way off the wet palette into the water. Sorry, all the way off the paper into the water. Going to do is that's going to leach water into my paint and thin it down way too much. Oh, I just have to use it quickly then. Let's get some more brown. It is a lot more brown. So this model has a tiny bit of interest in the fact that it is the leftover plastic arms and heads, and the body is 3D printed. Oh wait, yeah. The skull. My full-size, certainly anatomically correct human skull made of your finest cheap nasty plastic. Scully Boy does not have a name. Paul has insisting on calling him Scully Boy, but he calls everything with a skull Scully Boy. Like, I have a skull. In fact, I have two skulls, because I've got that one and I've got one in here. Gonna have some existential crisis where just everyone has a skull inside them at any given point. I was gonna say maybe there's someone who doesn't have a skull, but that would be extremely difficult. I don't understand quite how that would work. Something's going on with the paint. Oh, I think it's the... Did I not clean this model when I was sanding it? Because this is a 3D print. Just dumping the entire paint pot in the... That's definitely how that's supposed to look. What was I saying? I can't remember. Does did I answer that? I think I answered that question. The skull does not have a name. Paul calls it Scully Boy. Yeah, I was getting distracted by this model because it is a 3D printed model. And I've done a bit of cleanup after it was printed, cleaning away supports and some imperfections, stuff like that. And I don't think I actually washed it in between doing the sanding and putting the primer on. So there's just a little bit of this kind of slightly dusty texture. Or it might be the primer, it might just be I didn't warm the primer enough because it is winter. So I know that the wash isn't going to pick up the 3D printed surfaces as well. Ratman says, keep talking to you out loud like we're on Discord. Almost always, whenever you see my face on screen, it's because we're talking on Discord. It's probably the last time I live streamed was over a year ago? I don't know, it's been ages. Right, highlights. Yeah, so wash isn't going to pick up highlights. So the wash isn't going to pick up shadows as well on the 3D printed stuff here. So I'm going to spend the extra time to put in at least something of a highlight. Not going to put in too much effort, but just at least a little something. Oh, I thought we were playing the Mind Not Pony game on Friday. You got the rulebook now, right? I have my character all sorted out. He's an alicorn with a broken horn, red and black. There's no one watching this that gets that joke. Never mind. I only ever got the first one. I never got any of the story. I think they're called storybooks. The kind of scenario books. Not yet. It's on my wish list. I did. Unfortunately, I don't know which answer goes with which question. Also, I've forgotten the question. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't have a script or even I don't have a topic for me to talk about. I'm just... I've moved some stuff around in my house. And now I have more space at my computer so I can do some painting here. I wanted to see how much of a painting, how decent a painting setup it would be. And while I'm at it, given that I'm at my computer, I may as well try a live stream. Yes, Paul, we're talking about My Little Pony again. Why would we not? Don't have a booklet. It's on the wish list. Got the reference. Right. I've also forgotten what the reference was. Oh, the emo pony. That's nowhere near dark enough. That's basically the same as the trousers. There we go. So the general kind of concept for me when I'm painting my Soviet army is that every single piece of uniform, like the trousers, the jackets, the coats, the boots, should be a slightly different color. It's all variants on tan and brown. Maybe want to lighten this up even a bit more. But I saw a photograph of some Russian soldiers in 1945 with a captured German tank. And interestingly, one of them was wearing the SN-42 steel body armor, and it had 3 massive dents in the front. It was kind of, yeah, you've been there for real, haven't you? But there's 7 soldiers lined up in front of this tank for the photograph, and every single piece of clothing in the picture has a different hue. So there's 7 jackets and 7 trousers, or 7 shirts and 7 trousers, and there are 14 different colors. And so, with my Russians, I'm doing the same kind of thing, just ever so slightly different colors. Like there's the brown backpack. Actually, the shirt and trousers are sort of the same color on the camera there, but they are slightly different in real life. The jacket's a bit darker. Yes, we are there. An RPG book. Kind of want it. And Ed has a copy. I do. I have a copy only of the first one. Kind of the core rulebook equivalent. There's a flake of resin in my paint. Yeet. That's a different colour. Oh, I'm going to have to mix up afresh. Yeah, the what was it, Tales of Equestria game. It's surprisingly, like, forget the setting completely. The actual content, the actual game itself, and the way that the rules work is brilliant. The rules are entirely forgiving, and you know, it's a game whose target audience is the young, and so it's made to be a little more kind of easy to play, but it's not. I think simplistic certainly isn't the right word, because there's certainly a lot of complexity to it, but it is very forgiving, which is the word I'd try and use. One of the things you pick up, and I can't remember what they're called, but they're you get a series of tokens, you put them on your character sheet, and then at any point you can give them, you can say, I want to give up one of my tokens to get an advantage in this situation, and that can be, we're stuck and we don't know what to do. Hey GM, can I give you 2 tokens to give us a hint as to what we're supposed to do? Or maybe you made a roll and it didn't come out right, and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of, can I give one of my tokens to bump that up to a pass? It is very much unlike Cthulhu, which is out to kill you. Of course, Cthulhu does have one of the greatest characters of all time. Sverd the Viking. Sverd the not actually a Viking. He's from Scandinavia and is a mercenary and is the greatest character of all time. Cthulhu reroll tokens. I wouldn't know anything about Cthulhu reroll tokens. You never give us any. Have you ever had any reroll tokens? I've never had any reroll tokens in Cthulhu. We have to burn luck. I guess, yeah, it is kind of similar to I guess the difference is that when you burn luck, your luck stat is now reduced, and you actually use the luck stat for certain things in the game, whereas the yeah, that's true. Whereas the tokens, the gems of friendship, tokens of friendship, I don't know, it'll be something like that. The whatevers of friendship they are for nothing else, and so if you have none, the only disadvantage you're at is that you can't use them for the bonuses. Whereas if you burn luck in Cthulhu to get the same advantage, you're now at a semi-permanent disadvantage in that you have a lowered luck stat until you get something that increases your luck stat. So yeah, sort of similar, but just in a more forgiving way. I can't remember where this torso came from. I'm on a bit of a quest at the moment because many plastic model kits, not quite all of them, but a lot of plastic model kits come with extra arms, extra heads, and that's cool. You get all the options. You get to make the models in all sorts of different ways. It's cool, and that's definitely something that I approve of. It also gives you the opportunity to model stuff and cut off a hand and put it somewhere else, put it at a different angle and stuff, and if you ruin it, well, there's plenty more arms and plenty more hands to have another go. But when you're done building your models, you have a whole bunch of arms left over. And in my case, I have at least, at the absolute minimum, 200 sets of left arm, right arm, head for humans. And in addition to that, I have orcs and goblins and dwarves. And with 3D printing, not only can you print a whole model and have something really cool, but can't you print just the body, kind of the torso and the legs, and then use all of the plastic stuff from the bits box? And that's what this particular model here is an example of. The arms and head are from the Soviet bolt action. This is the summer uniform version. And then the rest of it is this kind of shirt and trousers deal, which is similar enough to the Russian uniform. It's not quite right. And I'm just trying to think, where did it come from? It was a model that had arms and its own head, and I digitally cut them away before I printed it out. Yeah, that's annoying. I can't remember. What colour should I be painting for a non-metallic brass? Because the casing of this shell should be brass. The projectile at the front will be silver. Kind of a yellowy, it's almost orange. It's definitely not that. That doesn't quite look right either. This is my metallic gold. Let's give that a shake. So this is my metallic gold. Yeah, that is more of a... I'm not convinced. I might just paint it. I might just not paint it actually at the moment. Paint the projectile. Is any of this grey? There we go. this whole patch of grey here on the wet palette in the background there. And I've got just enough for the projectile there. None of that white's going to be... Oh, well, maybe. No, that was... just a hole in the wet palette, the water's coming through, not actually useful paint. The thing with these Revell kind of cube pots You can see there's a whole bunch of them at the back of the desk there. I really like these paints. They're nice and smooth. They're nice and opaque, most of them. It's a decent range. But then the actual physical pots themselves are just annoying. Go a bit more grey and a streak of white. All blended in. Yeah, you can't see that at all on the camera. Streak of black there, yes. And that looks as good as any of the non-metallic metal in this army, therefore good enough. I had some slight annoyance with the mud texture that I made up, because I made up too much of it. I only wanted to do the anti-tank gun. Just wanted to get all of the mud on here, but I made way too much. And so I went through all of my Russians that I hadn't based yet, which is all of them, threw the mud on them, and I still had loads left. Can't remember what I was saying. Something about having loads left. I had loads of something left. Ah, yes, I had loads of this mud texture left. And so after I did all the Russians, I still had loads left over, and so I went to my pile of opportunity, acronym notwithstanding, not outstanding. It has an acronym, and I scrapped everything pretty much that would suit even a remotely kind of muddy, gritty, sandy texture base, and I did everything, and I still have more than half of what I made left over. So I've done over 100 models, or about 100 models, and that was only half of it, and I only meant to do one. Exactly. Pile of opportunity. POO. This is a fairly dark uniform in comparison to... So this is the crew for this. I haven't even put the wash on this one yet, and it's already that dark. Right, let's find out how... just how dark this is going to end up with the wash. And also let's find out how the washes are going to behave on the 3D printed... It's behaving as well as I would normally expect. primer I'm using for my Soviet army isn't really doing what I wanted it to, but overall it is working out. So not too bad. I think the what I'm actually doing is slightly more interesting than what I had planned, so I'm not too fussed. Well, brass definitely doesn't need a brown wash, but I'll paint over that as soon as I've looked up how to do a non-metallic brass. Well, what colours I need for the non-metallic brass. Pretty sure it's kind of just a yellowy brown. Amazing how you can say just do everything on the model, and you go around and then you have a look and it's like, I've missed so many little bits, like that bit. What I should do is actually paint the handle of this shovel. Here we go. There's 2 shovels on this now. Dropped one in. Oh, let's get some focus. My non-metallic metal shovel. It's not the first non-metallic metal shovel I've done actually, but there we go. Yeah, I just need to do the skin. Actually, what I should do first, I should get the tires done. So one thing I forgot when I did this is the tires. Where is the focal point? There just isn't one. I've got blackout, haven't I? Yep, here it is. The line of the... Oh, it's there. Oh, okay. Just trying to work out which bit's tire and which bit's the little rim. Yeah, looks a little better already. Bit of a flat spot there. Is that? Yeah, that's the highest point of the 3D print. So usually on surfaces that are parallel to the build plate, kind of anything that's the top surface. But I guess it's upside down, so the lowest surfaces of printing loses a little bit of detail. Not a big deal. Yeah, that'll do. Can't really see in there very well. Ah, good idea. Microphone is quite the way off to the side. If I put it there, a bit higher, I should still be able to paint. That moves it about a third of the distance away from me than it was. Also, I'm not talking particularly loudly. I'm kind of just mumbling as I'm painting. Filling in the tread on these tyres is a little annoying. This brush just doesn't want to go into each and every one of the gaps. Yes, good. Well, give it 3 minutes and I'll start mumbling again. Well, one difficulty I'm now having is that my brush is knocking against the microphone. Which is slightly annoying for me, but you might be able to hear it as maybe I should do the microphone upside down. Actually, that's a really good idea. I should probably. I'll not do it now because that'll be a faff and it might not work. But if I can have this, just put the microphone in the other way up and have it suspended here, because that way the cable is then over the top. It shouldn't obstruct the camera view too much, but I can always move this camera, so that's not really an issue. if anyone else has a topic of discussion that they'd like to bring to the forum. Because I have nothing specific to say. I was just testing out. Now that I moved everything around, I'm just testing out to see if streaming painting is an option, and given that the focus of this camera, perhaps not, but I'll try it with the other camera. The other camera is slightly better at actually focusing in on the small things, all the small things. Yeah, I'm not going to keep the microphone every single time I'm going for paint, which is somewhat annoying. Can you even... It's kind of just difficult to get into... See, I don't think this model was available in multi-part. Now I can split it. I can cut the wheels off. Digitally separate the wheels and then print them out separately and kind of glue them on after painting. That would be easier. And that would be possible, but I just prefer multi-part STLs. Kind of easier to work with, easier to paint, easier to print, and if you do get a failure that you can't deal with, you don't have to reprint everything, you just reprint the one bit that failed. Or in the case of some of my prints, every bit fails, and then, well... There we go. That's the AT gun finished. Yeah, you can just about see it. So on camera here, you should be able to see that the mud here is darker than the mud here, and even darker than the mud here. This is all the same mix of flour, PVA glue, salt, and the paint. And when it went down, it was this very dark, rich colour here. But just as it's drying, it's going white. And I think this is just because the paint that we got is this really cheap craft paint, and the pigmentation in it is kind of poor. I tried to paint a base rim on one of the other models with that paint because I just had it on the wet palette at the time, and it was just like, there's almost nothing coming off of the brush. And I went straight from the bottle to the model, and it's like, it goes on in this nice big blob, but then it streaks out and it becomes so thin. So, yeah. Once the snow effect is put on this, that's the one thing this model is still missing, is the snow. Once the snow's on it, won't be an issue. Any of the worst places is just that's where more snow will be. All right. Where did the load? Oh, he's still on the painting handle. So I want to swap back to the gunner, because the gunner just needs a red star and the skin. Do I have I do not have Caucasian skin tones, so let's have those out. Yes, that's the bottle we got in Hobbycraft. It's 500ml, I think, and it's just I mean, it's the type of thing that I would never try and paint a model with anyway. But I was hoping to be able to use it on terrain, and I mean, it'll get used, but it's just not quite. The coverage isn't very well. Can anyone at home even see that I painted that red star? I assume the answer is no, because I can't see it on the screen. Let's have one more attempt at focusing this camera in. Well, at least you can see the red star now. Well, you can see a red blur. Oh well. That is just as good as it gets. Okay, let's use a Caucasian skin tone. Do you remember which character it was that was on the AT guns in Panfilov? Paul and myself, we watched Panfilov's 28 Guardsmen. I think it's Panfilov's 28 Men is the film. And they've got some of the... They've got 45 mil anti-tank guns like this one. They've also got what I think is ZIS-2s. Although I'm not... I can't really identify the difference between artillery pieces like that. It's not my specialty, my area of study. They also had a Maxim. Which was pretty cool. Alright, let's go for painting a out of focus face. Yeah, I found that film, Panfilov's 28 Guardsmen, when I was doing some research on the Katyusha. And it's weird because there's no Katyusha in the whole film. It's just not there. But that's okay. It's a pretty good film. It's just a war film. Based on a bit of Russian propaganda. But now that I've seen that film, it's a pretty cool film, and so I'm loosely kind of modelling my army sort of based on the film. So ZIS-2, ZIS-3, no tanks, Maxim, 45 AT gun, and snow eventually when the snow arrives. Someone hasn't brought me down my snow. That's a shame. Try IMFDB, the Internet Movie Firearms Database. It's probably only got the small arms. I mean, that's even if it has an entry at all. English language films are fairly well documented on there, but Other language films aren't as much, which is a shame. Shall I do eyes? Do I need to do eyes? This guy's got his face in an anti-tank gun. You're not going to be able to see his eyes. Alright, fine, I'll do the eyes. You've convinced me. I had white out here. Actually, I've got white on the wet palette. He has eyes. Yay. Give that a second to dry and then we'll go back in with some of the skin colours. Try and clean that up. Pirates of the Caribbean is on IMFDB. Ha 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 ha. Fox emits with the puns. Thank you. That's what we all needed on a Monday evening at 7:45. Yeah, that's fine. I've never been particularly good at eyes, but that's good enough. Right, is there anything else on this model? Yeah, about that. No. There. I think that's the best focus it's going to get. Yeah, I think this one's good to go. So I can pop him off of his temporary base. And slide him into... Stuck. I've left all my super glue downstairs. But there we go, he sits in there. I might... That foot is just encroaching on the circle for this base. It is. No. That's alright. I can inlet some of the mud here because that's literally just like I say, flour and PVA glue. Get that foot shifted over. This base will go in. Mitten and Kozhev Beraginov. We're on the Maxim 1910, so that's the I think it was a Russian-built version of the Maxim in the same cartridge as the Mosin Nagant. It'd be the 7.62mm Russian. There we go. That's how it should be. So he's in there. You can just about see that eye. I mean, you can't because the terrible camera, but I can. Yeah. And yeah, I just need to inlet for the for this model to sit a little bit further over so that he's not standing on this guy's base, because this guy needs to be removable as they take damage. But that's done. And then this. This guy just needs, well, this guy needs skin tone, and he needs the brass casing of this ammunition with the non-metallic metal. How is it able to see every wrinkle in my skin, and yet that's just a massive blur? Oh well. Oh, I've got too much water in this. No. Basically glazing this now, which is not really what I want to be doing for a basic skin tone. This face is not as good as the other one, and the other one wasn't good to begin with. I'll leave it to dry for a minute before I tear up all the paint on it. Any more information, or is it just the Maxim that you've got on there? The one I really want to know. Hello, Richard. Thank you. The one I really want to know is the divisional gun that they feature in the film, because it's like none of the main characters using it. I think it's just off in the rest of the defensive line. So it might not be. That's the hardest one to actually identify, unless you actually know what it is, which I don't. But the 45 AT gun is easier to recognize, and then that's crewed by characters. I just can't remember who the character names are. I'm definitely going to have to do something about that, because that's... I mean, it's nearly as blurry in real life as it is on screen there. I'm just spilling my water everywhere. As casually as you do. I've made a mess. I've ruined my whole setup. It's a disaster. I love how I said that I don't need to have all the paints out, and I can just... I've got the box of paints behind me here, and I can just reach in and grab whichever one I need and put it back, and then what I've actually done is I've just made this wall of paint pots here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... 10 pots and the 2 washers. I didn't even use the black wash, I think. Sure. Let's see if I can run some black wash just on the centre of the face to bring back some of that definition. That's working. That actually worked. I'm amazed. ED-SKaR DP27. 27? It should be DP28. It's the same. 27, 28. It's a collector's thing. They call it 27, but the DP is... There was definitely... I think there were 2 DPs actually. They had 2 DPs. They had 2 PTRD anti-tank rifles, which I have one. Do I have? I do. And DP. I cannot express you just how I'm reaching through every single wire on this incredibly janky setup. Right, DP28 light machine gun. Hand magazine on the top. Bipod, old school, one-piece grip and stock. 47 round pan magazine, kind of interesting. I think they had 2 of those, but it's the DP28, but sometimes it's called DP27. And then there is this, which is the PTRD, and the D is also ED-SKaR. This is the anti-tank rifle. This is a single shot, bolt action. This was put into service from the time it was ordered to the time it was put into service was less than a month. This is an amazing technical exercise getting this in. The PTR-S, the Seminole version, uses the same caliber. That took longer to put into production because it's a much more complicated design. That was a semi-automatic with a 5-round magazine. So pretty cool. They were. I want the Seminole. I want just the one to have in the army. And what was that last one? 45mm 53K AT gun, and that'll be this. Oh, okay. So the divisional gun is the 122mm M30 howitzer. Okay, so that was used. I think that was in the first, defending against the first assault. I don't think it was used in the second. But I don't think it was M30. I thought it was a Ziz. Okay. I'm not up to date on my Russian anti-tank weapons. Sorry, my Russian artillery. I'm pretty much, like, for bolt action, I'm pretty much just going to have a... Sit still. There. I'm pretty much just going to have the 45 here and a Ziz 3 as a medium anti-tank and a light howitzer. That's how the rules work for that game. I think that's enough. The amount of small... I've just got lots of little anti-tank, which is pretty much good enough. So we also have Red Star to go on this chap here. And then that's the painting for the anti-tank team done. Sorry, the 45 anti-tank gun team. I definitely need to try this with the other phone to see if that plays along with Droid Cam any better. I wonder if it is just because Droid Cam is like, hey, give me money, and until you buy the full version, you only get like a really low resolution version. Because I'm pretty sure when I'm editing videos that I get a better quality than that. Maybe not by much, but I'm pretty sure I can at least get it into focus. Oh well. However. What are we at? We're at 8 o'clock, so that's an hour and a half? Hour and a half, yeah. Let's see if I can just get this. There we go. There we go. All finished. All, well, not quite finished. I need to inlet for this guy to sit at the right angle. But other than that, it's all painted. And then I just need someone to come down with the snow. Hey, bring me the snow. Yeah, the good stuff. We need to do that as a skit. We need to record something like that. Yeah, why am I even bothering showing you that camera? Alright, well, that can go in my little pile here. I have a pile that I keep next to my computer for the Back to the Brush podcast. Oh, this is dangerous. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is going horribly wrong. Yeah. So whenever I finish painting a model, it comes up here and goes in this little collection, and I show it off on Back to the Brush podcast, where we talk about many things, mini painting and model making. And then once I've shown it off on there, it can go into my main collection. But what that means is that these models and the anti-tank gun are all the models I've painted this month. Oh, wait, there's one more, because I also have the field kitchen. Yeah, I'm going to take it off of that because that's a disaster. Because this is a field kitchen. If you go on Thingiverse and search for Soviet field kitchen, this is pretty much the only one that anyone's ever decided to make, because why would you make a field kitchen? Well, I saw it and was like, that's cool, I'm going to print it. But it had a massive failure in the 3D print. And so I painted it up anyway, and I've just filled all of the gap with this cotton wool to be like a burning smoke effect. I want to see about, if I put hairspray on this, will it protect it or will it just make it go weird? Might have to try that. I've got plenty more cotton wool, so I can always replace it if needs be. Or maybe just matte varnish. That's going to have to be a video now. Why do I do this to myself? I just like, what if this? What if this? What if that? Right, now I need to test it. Well, at some point there'll be a video on cotton wool smoke effects versus all of the different things that you can do to make it, to protect it, like varnish and hairspray, and it'll go sticky. Yeah, but when it dries. Because varnish and hairspray all dries. I'm not talking about like hair gel. I wasn't thinking hair gel. I was thinking hairspray, which dries. Right? Or does hairspray still stay sticky? No, it doesn't still stay sticky. UV cure resin. The thing with the resin is that you need a certain volume for it to actually react properly. And so if you've just got a spray, each little bit is not enough. Can I get that in focus? Oh, never mind. Each little droplet from the spray is not enough for it to cure. You have to do a video with these on the cotton wool effect or on these models, because I'm actually recording a video on this model as is. Just need to, yeah, I just need to fit. Yeah, I just need to record film fitting this guy in, and then, the kind of the hero shots for the end of the video. It's pretty much done. This one, I don't think this one's getting a video. It's interesting. It is an interesting model, to be sure. Actually, I can probably feature it in that video. Superglue vapor chamber. We could put a tent up in your garden. That, I hate that. That's horrible. Superglue vapor is nasty. Just the tiny bit of superglue vapor you get when you're using superglue normally is noxious enough. That's horrible. Cotton wool experiments. Just a short, silly video. That is not going to be a short, silly video. That is going to be a scientific documentation on the different techniques and how it affects the cotton wool. This is an opinion that I have. Haven't really formed it into a correct like speaking points and how to actually discuss it, but I think that a respectable YouTube video, like a YouTube video made by someone who's not editing things to make false arguments and stuff, is or should be considered a scientific document. If you go through the video in the same way that you would write a like Word document of a scientific paper, your premise, what you plan to do about it, go through each of the experiments and then detail the reasoning and come to your actual conclusion, that's the scientific method. And a lot of the science YouTubers are following that that format. Hello Garguncle Nerf, how are you doing? Respectable YouTube video, that's a misnomer. No, it isn't. YouTube is simply a platform, or any video uploading website is just a platform for people to put videos. And you can be as reputable or disreputable as you can anywhere else, pretty much. Well, I just wanted to finish off those models. All I really want to do is test this setup. I think this setup is fine. Like, this camera doesn't focus well enough. I need to test it with the other camera. And if that also doesn't work, then I need to test it with different software. Which is annoying, because getting the software to get this phone run as a webcam was difficult enough. But the premise of this kind of paint-along video, paint-along live stream, I think it is valid. I think that's something that I might do, not every week, it's not going to be regular, but every now and again. Just if I've got some models that I'm not necessarily filming for specific video, like these Russians. Well, I'll probably wrap up here then. So if there are any questions from the chat, throw them out now and I'll see what I can answer before I sign off. But I can put my kitchen back over with my painted stuff. I need to count these because I think I'm at a record. Let's count them. What is my record up until now? I think my record is 28 models, and that was last year for October. I just batch painted 28 orcs and it sucked. I don't like batch painting. But these, as you see, they are a variety of different things, and there's even a couple of models that I painted for competition. There's a froggy guy, there's another one over there that will be kept secret for the moment. 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 Tano First and Only, 2 Elysian Drop Troops, the 2 for the challenge, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 individual Russians plus my AT gun. Do I count that as one model because it's like the team, or do I count that as 3 because there's 2 people and the gun? I mean, the gunner is kind of falling asleep underneath the gun there. I'm going to count this as 3. I think it's fair to count this as 3 separate models. What's that? I lost count. I forgot. 10, 12. 29. 29. I've broken my record. This is the most models I've painted in a month. It's 29 models. And I have plenty more to go for next month. Well, it depends on when we record Back to the Brush, because we haven't done that yet. I think we've pushed it back to the first weekend of every month, so we've got we got 2 weeks to get that out. That's fine. Well, yes, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat, so I will say thank you very much to everyone who's popped past and to comment. You're on 3 models painted. That's absolutely fine. Painting 3 models is still painting 3 models. Even painting none is okay. You don't have to paint. What was I doing? I was signing off. Right, well, yes. Thank you everyone for popping past. Thank you everyone for watching along. I have painted some models. I will put, actually I can put these over here now as well with my mass collection of stuff that I've painted. I might even finish painting some of these tonight after the stream, but that's all I wanted to do, is just test the stream to see if painting on stream was working, and it seems to have gone down fairly well. So, thank you very much. I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and I'll see you next time. End stream.